All right. When did you first decide that you wanted to write the history of racing in Northeast Wisconsin?
The thought kind of crossed my mind. It was in the back of my mind for a lot of years. And it was a year ago in January, I attended a seminar of the publishers Mike Duplays and Bonnie Gressel. It was just at the Brown County Public Library on, bringing out the author and you. And I went there on a whim and said, let's see what this is about. And after listening to those guys and what they had to say, they own a publishing company. I decided to kind of jump in with both feet, and I told them my background a little bit in racing, and it just kind of took off from there, and it's worked out pretty good.
And what was the process that you went through in writing the book? I mean, how did you decide what to put in the book? Good question. There's so much history in Northeast Wisconsin, so I picked and chose as much as I could. I went back starting in the 50s, who are some of the biggest names, who had the biggest rivalries, that kind of thing. Obviously, J.J. Smith, Roger Regath, big, good rivalry there. And then you had promoters' rivalries, the deal with Paul Kazrowski and Jack Peters, with the Seymour versus DePere thing in '75. That was big. That got a lot of media coverage in the Green Bay area, not only in the newspaper through like the Press Gazette and the News Chronicle, but the TV stations, the radio stations. But ultimately, it brought the demise of dirt track racing on both of those tracks for a while. So I probably had too much material, and I could have interviewed probably another 20 drivers, but I think I like how it turned out so far. Now, did you do most of the interviews in person with the drivers? Yes, whenever possible. There was a few times where I did it on the phone, but I'd say 80% of the time I met with them, and the reason for that was the treasures that you find when you do that. Like John Schultz had a ton of stuff, trophies, old helmets, drivers who just the stories. MJ McBride too. He had some old photos. And when you meet with those guys face to face, you'll mention something, and it'll kind of jog a memory. Oh yeah, we remember this, and it was awesome. I always meet with these guys whenever I can. So. Okay, all right. And now that the book has been out since a little before Christmas, what's been the reaction from people buying the book? It's been great. Like here at NEW Motorama, for example, what you get a lot of is, the demographic of fan attending this event is kind of like, they don't go to races every week here, but they'll thumb through the book and, oh yeah, I used to go to DePere, I used to go to Shawano, I used to go to Seymour, and as such, they bought a book, and it kind of rekindles that a little bit. So prior to that, the book signings, hardcore race fans, both dirt and asphalt, and it's gone better than I expected. I think I hit a niche. And I kind of looked at it like this, Bert, somebody's got to preserve the history of the sport, and I know you're a fan of that too, so that kind of prompted me to do it too. Okay, and you're already working on your second project? Yeah, book number 2 is the history of WIR in Kaukauna, and I've got that, we're now in April, and I've got that probably a third of the way done so far, and the track owner, Roger Van Dalwick, has been great in terms of giving me some treasures he had that have not been made public, photos and documents and that kind of thing. So that's gone well, and WIR is kind of neat because you get the red, white, and blue, which you had the Central Wisconsin guys, Tom Repper and Mark Marzovka, I talked to here this weekend at the show. So, and the history is going to include everything from the figure 8 division, which is one of a kind in itself, the super late models, the trucks, everything, the old USAC type stock cars that started when the track was paved in '68, so it's going to cover the whole gamut so far, and the release date for that will be December 5th, so at Titletown Brewery, so we're looking forward to that a lot. And after that one, you have a third one already in mind? Yes, that will be like volume 2 of Life in the Fast Lane. Life in the Fast Lane stopped around 1980. Well, a lot happened in the early 80s. The sport was in kind of a transition on dirt especially. We had a lot of tracks that were closed, and a lot of them eventually had reopened at that point. So that will be volume 2. So, Life in the Fast Lane, I haven't come up with a title yet, but it essentially will be a volume 2. That'll take us from 1980 kind of to the present, and trust me, there's enough material. IMCA was introduced to the area, the modified division, the stock car division, tracks had reopened. So there's more than enough material to cover, and I guess I'm the guy who's decided to do it. All right, and how much have you enjoyed doing the first book and working on the second book? A lot.
I enjoy not only writing the books themselves, I enjoy doing book signings, events like this at NEW Motorama, because I like promoting the book as much as I did writing it and getting the word out and getting it in the hands of people. So I enjoy that part of it. My publisher, Mike, says you're a publisher's dream, because most authors, they'll write the book and just kind of expect it to sell itself. I'm the total opposite. I'm not announcing races or promoting them anymore, so this kind of fills the void a little bit.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add about the books?
No, like I said, we'll keep updates in Full Throttle with my monthly columns and how things are going. And December 5th will be the book signing at Titletown Brewery.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Bert.